Mr. Rizal Shah Amat is the CEO of 360 Studio Worldwide.
You are awesome. Okay, so I want to make it less about me and more about you. Okay, so I have to have a little Hanson's natural. Let me talk about myself. I'm Rizal. I'm 33 years old. I run an events company and also a business development company. Yes, so I know business development doesn't usually go together with events and ID, but when we talk about business development, we actually create and design new companies. And we just launched a new company called Easy Secure Storage. And we basically made the DNA of the business, built it, branded it, and launched it. So that's what I mean by business development in that sense. Yeah? So I've been doing this for about 5 years. I've worked in the United States. I've worked here in Malaysia. I work for a Japanese company. I work for an American company. And I've got to see that wide spectrum from the Japanese companies that plan 20, 30 months ahead to the American companies where they're more instinctful, more impulse. It's a bit different. Yeah. So I had the best of both worlds. So today, I'm going to talk to you about, brushing your teeth and eating mints, so your breath don't smell bad. Okay, no, I'm not actually going to talk about that. I think you guys are like asleep, is it? So okay. So what does awesome mean? It's in a state of awe, like not like oh, like a cute puppy, but like oh, awesome. That's what it is, and it's to be at awe of something and to be in a state of awe. Okay, and also amazing. Awesome is something out of the ordinary. If you're ordinary, not to say that you're not awesome, like a single mother taking care of 3 kids, or just a normal mother taking care of 3 kids, is awesome. Yeah. So what does it feel like to be awesome? How do you feel in the morning when you wake up and like, wow, I'm awesome? So this is how I feel. I feel like I'm willing to take a challenge every day. So if somebody comes up to me, hey Rizal, that's what I always get to. Hey Rizal, I want to do this new thing. Okay, let me think about it. Okay, I think I want to do it. So it's always taking the challenge, of course with a calculated risk. And I think it's a lot about learning and listening. A lot of people think about being awesome as like rich, famous, amazing, but it's also a lot of introspective things. Like you're more attentive to people, you listen to people, you observe better, and you respond also better. Yeah. So it's also introspective, not just outward going. And attitude is very important. I run a company with about 25 people, and I try to select based on attitude, because you might not have the necessary knowledge or the necessary skills, but all those can be looked for. I've never studied interior design, but I've been doing it for 5 years, and honestly now I can do it pretty well. So skills like that are easy to find, but a good attitude and a bad attitude, that makes the difference altogether. A bad attitude, you wake up in the morning, it's jam, get to office, oh my God, look at my desk, it's a mess. Look at my boss, he's on my he's on my butt. So having that bad attitude, it just brings you down, brings your day down, brings everything down. Life is already hard as it is. So there's no baggage that you need to put on yourself and make it even worse for yourself. Having a positive attitude doesn't mean that you have to be like Barney, the bear. I don't know whether it's a bear or a dinosaur, but you don't have to be that positive. But the positive attitude that you got to look at is like being positive, taking up the challenge, and always taking a lead. Of course, not all the time, but always trying to get some kind of initiative going. And being awesome in the morning is being happy with yourself. It doesn't mean that you have to be complacent, but being happy with yourself, feeling happy, it's very important. I know a lot of people. I know some rich people. They're not happy with themselves. They got the perfect life. They drive Ferraris. They drive Lamborghinis, but they have big problems, heart problems. You will be surprised. Some of these successful people, they have very low self-esteem. They have to have those things to make them feel better. That's how they compensate for it. But you don't need all those. It would be great to drive a Ferrari to work in the morning. I think I'll feel a lot better, but it's not everything. Money isn't everything. Money will come with the passion that you have. So if you're passionate about what you do and you enjoy what you do, money will come. So I heard somebody saying that to be awesome in something, it takes about 10,000 hours. which I roughly calculated with business days and working hours, it's about 5 years. So they have this saying that Rome wasn't built overnight. So being awesome doesn't mean that you're awesome from the get-go. Okay, totally awesome. You could have the right attitude, you could have the right feeling about it, but you might not be awesome right at the get-go. It took me 10 years to be what I am. I started from college, and then when I got out, I went to university in the US. And when I started working in my internship, I really sucked at what I did. And in retrospect, when I look back, it was really bad. And I didn't have the right attitude. It's not what I have today. So it's something that you want to build. Being awesome is something that is not done overnight. You have to continue to strive and fail. I think practice, I hate saying practice makes perfect, but I think practice doesn't make perfect. It just makes you fail a lot more. You practice something, you fail until you get it right. So it's very important to have that. So how do I feel when I feel awesome? When I wake up, I have this feeling right in my chest, and it's hard to explain. I feel very good from here. Maybe because I don't owe people money, and nobody's trying to kill me. But yeah, but I feel when I wake up, I feel good about myself, about the people around me, about the company I run, about my clients. So I feel very good about the country. I think it's very regular for people to underestimate our country here in Malaysia. I lived in London, I lived in the UK, and I lived in Los Angeles, and I was very, very happy to come back after my studies in the US. And we are actually very, very lucky people here in Malaysia. And I'm not being political or anything, but I think Malaysians, they're very easygoing because they have a really good life here, and it's very hard to be poverty here. If you don't have a job, it's just because you're picky. It's not because the economy is bad. You could always work at McDonald's or whatever, and you can still, have your dream. And a lot of people in Malaysia, they're working their dream. Regardless, Malay, Chinese, Indian, whatever you are, everybody's living their dream. So it's definitely reachable for any Malaysian, which is great. I love to say that, we're Malaysian, and sometimes when I do bad things in US, we always mengaku we're Singaporean lah. But, yeah, we're from Singapore, but yeah. So yeah, I don't know if there's any Singaporean. So, but joking aside, but Malaysia is a really good place for you to start and live your dream, and I think it's also a good base to start to live in other countries also. Like for example, if you want to start your business in Malaysia and move it to Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, it's very conducive. Yeah. Okay. Being awesome also taught me to have humility. I think when you realize you wake up you don't wake up like, yeah, I'm awesome, like Hansen said, but you wake up like, wow, since I'm awesome now, there's so many other people that I realize that are awesome too. You look at Tony Fernandez, you look at all these famous people, people doing hard work, people like your lecturers here at Segi, being awesome, and you get to admire all these other people because you realize it. Like Hansen saying, when you grow up, nobody talks about passion to you. Suddenly you have to realize that you have to go to work, I have to be passionate, right? So when you're there, you start looking across and you see all these peers that are doing very well, and it kind of motivates you. And it gives you that sense of humility that, look, as far as I've gone, I've also got to go further. This is just the beginning of my journey. And when you're at the end, maybe, and you've reached that pinnacle of success or, whatever awesomeness that you feel, you look back and you say like, look, this is all because the people surrounding me and the humility that I felt. Yeah. So awesomeness doesn't give you the right to treat people bad or push people around because they're not as awesome as you. Yeah, it doesn't do that. It's supposed to be that you're more open to people, more open to teaching people, more open to talking to people. That's what it's supposed to be. And of course, being happy. Doing the things that make you happy. Sleeping with a clear conscience, waking up. I've got 3 young daughters that making me feel awesome. And it might be something or another, but there's always something that makes you feel awesome. Yeah. So, how do you become awesome? So everybody asking like, wow, awesome's like this, awesome's like that. So how do you actually become awesome? You just need a body, a spirit. You don't need to be tall, handsome like Hansen. Although that would help. Yeah, he's awesome. But I grew up, I was a nerd. I didn't really have, I wasn't really the social type. All I had was, my studies and whatnot, but we weren't really that popular. And I notice now that those ones that weren't really popular are doing very well right now. Yeah, because they don't take anything for granted, and they try a lot harder. So I'm not saying that if you're popular or not, but I mean, if you're popular, it's even better. You even got a better way to start. You had a head start, more like. So you don't need to be famous, handsome, smart, whatever. It's all about attitude. Some of the best staff I have are not smart, but they have the best attitude, and they're willing to pull and try the hardest. It's not about just being smart, good looking, and whatnot, but taking those things and making yourself awesome is what is very important. So when I hire, I look for someone with a good attitude. I think I mentioned this. Yeah. If all fails, the attitude is the one that they fall back to. Yeah. And attitude is very important about not making excuses for yourself. I think a lot of Malaysians tend to say that, hey, I was late in the jam. It's raining outside. Why don't you be a bit more cooler? But I think you have to really take responsibility. If you're late in the jam, then you didn't, and you're continually late in the jam, that means you haven't left your house early enough. And instead of blaming the jam, why don't you blame yourself for being late? I know people that come to work early all the time and get the work done during the office hours. So take responsibility, because then you have to plan. If you don't plan, it's hard to execute responsibilities, and it affects your work. And passion, passion is the fuel to your attitude. So you could have a great attitude, be positive, but the passion is the one that fuels it. You might be passionate to what you do, but there's also stuff that you just have to be passionate about. And I'll give you an example. I'm in the ID business, and we design and build interiors like this. So when you finish your job, and then finishing is attitude. So for me, I'm passionate about cleaning everything. Doesn't matter if I'm the boss, I'm the one that's cleaning, wiping stuff down, making sure everything is perfect. That's a passion I have to finish the job. Yeah. So passion can arise from not only the broad scope of passion. For example, if you have something that you started off with and now you're passionate about it, there's also the small things, the simple tasks, like driving to work, going home, doing the dishes, taking care of your kids. My new passion now is taking care of my kids, and making sure they eat right. So I do a dinner for them. I give them breakfast. I give them dessert. So making them happy, that's a passion that I have right now. So it could be anything, even from the simple stuff. Yeah. And I think I tend to learn faster when I observe. Okay. So having studied in 3 different countries, there's not a lot of room for me to just. It was just pack up, go to a new school. Pack up, go to a new school, and observing helped a lot. Asking questions helped a lot. And when I mean by asking questions, I mean like by asking a lot of questions until the point where your lecturer is looking at you like, can you just shut up? So that is actually a method of rapid learning. So if you want to learn something very fast, you need to ask a lot of questions to the right people. Yeah, and getting the opportunity to meet the people, like for example, if Hanson's here, asking him, hey, how do I become a host? He's the guy that can give you something that is valuable, that he learned, and something that will work. It's very important to ask the right people. And it's always a fast track that way. Yeah. So everything that you do, you got to do it smart. So you want to fast track things. And leading is something that comes a bit natural to me, but I think it's not something that's inherent in everybody. And leading doesn't mean you got to talk loud on the microphone, hey, this is what you have to do. No, it doesn't mean that. It could be that you're the one that steps up to the plate. And I tell this to all my staff. If you're the one that steps up to the plate, you're the one that is, that's going to succeed. Okay? Instead of watching somebody step up to the plate, you're the one that steps up to the plate. Yeah. I got to go real quick. So giving an opportunity to others. I think my major job every day today is not just to be a boss, but to give an opportunity to my staff. Give them an opportunity to perform. Give them the opportunity to design. Junior designer, design on a senior project. Giving them that opportunity or horizon for them to expand. It's very important for you to develop the people around you. Because ultimately being awesome is not a single job. It's a job of many. It's a collective effort. Yeah. And of course, don't stop learning. I've worked many jobs, and I just continue to continue to learn. I'm opening a new department called DXA, which is digital activation. It's something I don't even know about, but it's something I want to start learning and start doing as a business. So there's no fear, you just go for it and take it to your stride. Okay, last but not least, now that you're awesome, now you know how you feel when you're awesome, how to get awesome. What happens to people that fall out of awesomeness? Waking out of bed, oh, it's a dread. You're burnt out from working so hard. You will fall out of awesomeness. So what you have to do is you have to take a step back. If study is a cram, your mom's nagging you, your girlfriend left you, whatever, you're having fights with your friends, take a step back. Take a step back, stop and look around and see how lucky you actually are. Okay? No matter how difficult or how big your problems are, there's always people with bigger problems and you should be thankful for where you are. Okay? Talk to your peers, ask for advice. That's the time where you start texting the people, your old friends. Hey man, how are you? I'm not feeling too good. They'll help you. They'll give you the positive vibe that you need to get back up. You need to rest, release and regroup. I go to Bali twice a year. And sometimes I go alone, even though I have a family. But that's the time I have some self-time for me. I go up the mountain. I go to the river, whatever. And I kind of take a step back and kind of regroup. Because, living in KL is a tough life. You're stuck in jam most of the time. There's deadlines. There's angry clients, crazy staff, all this stuff. And, it's very stressful. So you have to just take a step back. And for me, nature is something that makes me reset. That's my reset button. So you really have to find a reset button. If bungee jumping is your reset button, then go and bungee jump. It's only $100 in Bali. So, take time. I take 5 to 6 days at each time. So take enough time too to rest. Sometimes 3 days is just not enough. And last but not least, something that really helped me growing up from small is putting stuff on paper. And people don't realize that every problem is solvable when you put it on paper. Because when you put it on paper, you can visually see the structure of the problem or the structure of the issue that you're dealing with. So when you put it on paper, you can see, okay, the timeline, what you need to do, what are the problems you're facing, and suddenly you can see everything and you make sense of it. When you're very cluttered, that's what I normally do. I put stuff on paper and suddenly it becomes clear. So I also ask my staff to put everything on paper. So when you're plotting out your new job or your new course or you're having some financial problems, make a budget, put stuff on paper. It's very easy. So that's basically it on being awesome. So I hope you guys have a great time on being awesome. I'm sure Segi is an awesome college. So thank you all for listening to me. Thank you.